my name is Juan Vides. I'm the founder and host of Winning on Wednesday. WOW is a virtual network platform that brings together 50 to 80 members weekly to share their ideas, discuss their business, and to simply get to know each other. WOW also encourages building relationships and like doing business before. As I often say, people do business who they like and know and trust. And I like to introduce people talk about trust. I like to introduce some one of our special WOW members. And by the way, I like to introduce her as my SEO, but not the SEO as you can think in technology. Talk about well, you know what? I'll have Robin tell us about that. Welcome, Robin. How are you, Robin?
Hi, how are you today? I'm happy to be here.
And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am one of the true New York City girls born and raised. I went to school in New York City. I went to college out of New York City and studied theater. Came out of college and worked in the big box advertising. And now I am a concierge travel professional, as well as the SEO, which is the special events and operations supervisor for WOW.
That's right. So there's people don't think it's technology. It's not to get you on the first page of Google, but she could get you at events, and she does a fabulous operation for WOW. And I just wanted to thank you for that, Robin.
Oh,
So
it's my honor.
tell us your tell us where tell us a little bit. Like we heard a little bit about you, but tell us from the very beginning. And I like to start with your parents, your folks, because our folks really pass on our values and really make us who we are, and really it kind of, like I always say, that our parents instill these values that make us successful. So what would you say, what did your parents do for a living?
So I was tremendously lucky to have my father, who ran a concentrated foods business in the early days. He was an innovator. So I got used to being in a factory setting, and he was a true entrepreneur before people were entrepreneurs everywhere. My mother is an artist. So I got a little bit of my business and a little bit of my creativity from each of my parents.
Wow. So they instill these values into you, which sometimes we forget, that with our parents that they keep pass on these values, and it's amazing how we apply it to our day-to-day business and practice.
Well, then, when it's really true, because I remember as a very young child going into my father's factory very early and being there sticking labels on cans, because he told me that he would do it and I would do it together. So I learned from a very early age that even if you're the president of a company, sometimes somebody just has to stick the label on.
Yeah, and I always you always want to give those experiences to your kids. Like, I tell you something, I just had a wonderful experience a couple of weeks ago where I had my kids. I was able to take them. I had a retired judge, from Nassau County.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Why don't you come and bring your family to the beach house, at Montauk?" And we went out there, but give him the opportunity to have my kids to experience, fun, great outdoor activity, but just to tell them, till at the end of the day, to let them know this was a successful judge. Now, to tell my kids that, to have that experience, that they knew a judge and how successful it is, it kind of gives them hopes and strives them for that they can become the best and have that experience. And to your father to have that experience, to you were exposed to the business community at a very early age. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's stuck with me today. And I hope that I instilled those in my daughter as well.
Yeah. Well, that's all we could do is pass on the knowledge and our values. Same traditions and values that our parents gave us. We just pass it on to the next generation.
Absolutely.
And I think that's part of life. It's really passing on the experience and knowledge of what you learned. And that's what I try to teach people and tell people, that in business, that's what you have to do. It's you have to pass on and give it on to people. And Robin, what did you go to school for?
I went to school for theater.
For theater.
I
Wow.
went to school for theater. I originally was going to be a music therapist and decided that that wasn't going to be for me. And I went and I became a theater major, did a lot of theater. And it was a wonderful time to be in that industry.
Was that because again the creative part because of your parents? Is that would you say?
I was, you know, being a New York City girl, I was exposed to music and theater from a very early age and saw some of the iconic performers doing the roles and creating the roles that are now being redone on Broadway. So I've played piano since I'm 6 years old. I've played guitar
Wow.
since I'm 9. So I was always around music and theater, loved it, and decided that that was the direction that I wanted to go.
And out of curiosity, I'm just out of curiosity, do you remember your parents' favorite music, what they listened to?
Well, it's interesting. My mother always liked opera. My father liked a lot of different things. He was a little bit more big band, but I had other people in my life who exposed me to rock and roll, to the Beatles, to Harry Chapin I was a very big fan of Harry Chapin, and then all of the phenomenal music that came in my lifetime. The Eagles are still my favorite. Hotel California, as you
Oh
know,
yeah, yes.
is the ringtone on my phone. So I was very lucky to grow up in a home that had all kinds of music, and some of it I liked, some of it I didn't, but I was at least exposed to it. And I think that it's very important that we expose our children and even our spouses to things that maybe they weren't exposed to earlier on.
Hey, I sure learned a lot from from Lisa, my wife. So absolutely, I could attest to that. And tell me, I mean, obviously, did you end up doing what you went to school for in your degree?
Well, you know what? I didn't become an actress on Broadway. That wasn't something that was in my cards. But I came out of school and started writing commercials for big box advertising. So I went from performing in plays to writing scripts for them so that others could perform.
Oh wow! And what was your last 9 to 5 job?
I think my last 9 to 5 job was probably back in advertising, and then maybe when I was in between. But I find now it's not 9 to 5. My job takes me, my hours are all different. So I've gone from a bunch of different things in my career, and 9 to 5. I wish I just worked 9 to 5.
Yeah, I know. When you own your own business, you don't work 9 to 5.
Mm-mm.
Tell us a little bit about the marketing experience who you worked for when you did your marketing thing.
Well, when I worked for advertising, I was working for an agency called Benton and Bowles. They, of course, merged in the 80s. And it was a wonderful experience because I got to work with some of the iconic people in advertising. One of my bosses was Charlie, who was Charlie the tuna. I worked with people
Oh
who did,
wow.
yeah, I worked with the team that created Please Don't Squeeze the Charmin. So, and these are things that some of our listeners may or may not remember, but they were wonderful. They mentored me, gave me opportunities to soar. And I learned from, it's always wonderful when you learn from people who you have so much respect for. And they really gave me the confidence that I could do anything that I wanted to do, whether I went to school for it or not.
Robin, I have to tell everybody in the whole world, you are a great student because I got to tell you something. Robin does listen. She does. She does exactly what I do. And I'm an expert in technology and when it comes to technology. And when I give Robin an advice or some kind of a piece of a tidbit, she does it. And she wows me with that. And I'm like, I love it. And that's why I think you and I have a good relationship because we both listen to each other. And you give me advice as well, and I listen to you. So I think it comes down to mutual respect at the end of the day. And it's crazy that you and I we just started getting to know each other.
No, absolutely. And I think that that's something that's really important for everybody. Just because something isn't in your wheelhouse or it's something you don't feel comfortable with, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't know how to do it. I may choose not to do it. Everybody knows about I don't care for numbers in little boxes. but I do know how to read a spreadsheet. I do know how to create a spreadsheet. I'm now an expert in Google Forms. And I think everybody should know. Technology is so fascinating. I don't want to know everything and I don't know how to do everything, but I think that it's important, especially when you have your own business, that you have a basic understanding of all of the things that you need.
I couldn't disagree more than that. And you and the fact that you're open, that's another key thing. You have to be open to technology. And I get it. Sometimes it's frustrating. And sometimes when you don't know something, you just want to give up. But sometimes thank God for Google, I have to say, because you have to be resourceful sometimes. I mean, just Google it, and believe it or not, you'll find the answer. If you're, you don't give up, you're consistent enough, you'll find the answers.
Well, and Google's a wonderful source. And I know that both my husband and I tend to rely a little bit on YouTube as well, only because sometimes you need to see it. So I can read it every once in a while. I admit, I mean, even I'm a knitter, and every once in a while I just get brain freeze, and I'll go and I'll remind myself what things are. I think that everybody should be open to admitting that you can't know everything and you can't do everything. So it's okay to ask.
Yep, always ask. And to your point, YouTube, and let's not forget, Google owns YouTube. So you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's one big happy family.
Exactly. But this is interesting. Now, I at this point, I would like to ask about the Wow Golden Nugget, which is what the Wow Golden Nugget. What it is a place where you could leave a piece of valuable information for a business owner to better themselves or better their business. Do you have any Wow golden piece of nugget that you could want to leave behind?
I think that the most important thing that I can say to people is don't be afraid to try something new, even at a point in your life where you think that you have found everything. Be open to the world. Things come to you from the strangest places. And don't close your mind to the things that you don't like to do, because you never know where that could possibly take you.
I couldn't agree more. And tell us, I mean, you've been coming to WoW for a while now. Can you tell us some of the stories, some of the stuff that you've, some of this? Tell us your story about WoW.
Well, we would be here for a very long time. WOW has given me the opportunity not only to meet some incredible people who do things that I never even knew existed as a job, but also gave me an opportunity to share all of the things that I know and that I know how to do with different people. I think that at the end of the day, WOW has given me relationships that I never thought I would have. I've learned about insurance. I've learned about tax breaks. I've learned about computers.
Law,
I've
the
learned,
law, the law.
oh my God, I know so much about, I don't want to tell anybody that I've learned about the law. But I've learned so much from so many different people that it has given me the opportunity to get to know things that I didn't even know that I wanted to know. Plus the fact that there are so many people who are doing these wonderful things that they're recreating themselves. I think it also gave me the confidence to know that it's okay to be fluid. And I think that that's the biggest thing that I've learned since being in WOW, is that one day I may be doing travel. Another day I might be helping somebody prepare for a presentation. Another day I may be running somebody else's meeting. These are all things that I do very easily where they don't do that as well. So I'm able to help and be supportive.
Wow. I mean, you have able to diversify yourself and adapt yourself in an environment where now it needs to, because we live in a crazy time. And let's face it, doing your regular job as a business owner, it's you can only go so far. Sometimes you need to do more things in order to add to your it's on, because you have to have, like I always have, multiple streams of revenue so that you can get it, particularly if you want to live here on Long Island. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but I think also what's happened is when I was coming out of college, most people went to school and they did what they came out of school for. I think the generation now, I have a daughter who's in her early 30s. You know, many of them didn't go right to work in what they went to school for. And I think more and more people that I'm meeting are in different opportunities and had different things that they went for. The world is different. And that's okay. I think that every experience that you have, every television show you've watched, every piece of music that you've listened to, every business meeting that you've gone to, all of these things work together to create who you are. So who you are is creating also what you're choosing to do. And you should be happy. You should be able to wake up in the morning and be excited to see what the day is going to bring.
Speaking of things, what to do, tell us about what you do for a living.
Well, it depends what day of the week it is. On Wednesdays, I am the SEO for Wow. Wednesdays
Yeah.
are my Wow day.
Yeah.
The majority of my time is spent being a concierge travel professional. And what that means is that I don't really have a brick and mortar. So it's definitely not a 9 to 5 or a 10 to 6. I tell people that I still travel out of the trunk of my car, and my office is anywhere I need to be.
Wow. And I know that you have a lot of customers that really and what's nice about you that you do is you care. And I have to tell the folks, Robin has consulted me on my travels, and I have to say she knows her stuff because I went to Orlando with my family for Disney, and I gotta tell you, Robin was spot on with all the information and advice that she has given me, and I just want to say thank you for that. My family had a wonderful experience, and just I can't thank you enough for everything you do for Wow, and everything you do for my family. I just want to say thank you for that.
Oh, and again, it's my honor and my privilege. And when you're doing something that you enjoy doing, it makes, and we all know this, and you've heard it before, that if you're enjoying it, it's not as much, it's not a job. It's a passion. I love to hear those kinds of things from my clients, and I love to make people go away. But I think also, you had in mind, you wanted to give your family an experience. And, anybody, we can all go to Disney. We can all do that. And it's a wonderful thing. I'm working on a bunch of Disney trips now. But what makes me a little bit different is that I look at the bigger picture. And that comes from my theater background. I see the show. So, I see what your trip looks like day to day. And
Yes.
and it's about what you're trying to get out of an experience. I have some clients that say to me, find me a place with a chair on a beach. I want clear water. I want beach service. I want to get up in the morning and I just want to roll out to the beach.
So, folks,
And that's okay. I will
yeah,
find them that's fine. And then I have other clients that say, I do not want to put my toes in the sand. I want to be go, go, go. I want to see everything. I want to hear everything. I want to taste everything. And that's just a very different experience. So it's important to know in any industry,
so
to
Robin,
listen to your clients.
so Robin, you're like a film producer, like a film director. And then you have these people who want their films to be made, and you can make their movies happen.
Absolutely. And I think that, and that's part of the fun, because not only do I do those kinds of trips, I specialize in destination weddings. And
Mm.
as far as I'm concerned, you can't get more elaborate of a performance or of a show than of a wedding. And I love doing it because it's an honor for me to be involved in the most important day to that moment of these couples' lives.
And,
And it's been incredibly rewarding for me.
and listen, I know you, and I'm a little bit biased because I'm your friend and all that stuff. But like, folks, I've seen some destination weddings that you've done, and I'm like, wow, I'm like just blown away. Some of the stuff that you've done, all the work you've done with some of these weddings. I'm like, just like, wow.
And it's not easy. As most people who are listening to this probably know, travel over the last couple of years has gotten challenging. Things that we knew to be true are not as easy to do right now. And I've had people be away. I just had a trip where my clients left for Norway. And the day after they left, the national airline went on strike. So they were now in Norway with no way to get around. And had they not had me back here in the US helping them out, they would have been in Norway 5 or 6 hours ahead trying to navigate their way through. The world is challenging. Everybody wants to go away. We have a huge pent up demand for travel. I just found out today that 2 of my tour operators are not even booking Italy. Evidently, Italy has shut down. They don't even want to talk about next year until November.
Wow.
So these are things that I may know about that the average person doesn't have access to.
Exactly. And I was just going to say that you also have the years and connections of your network of people that you trust, like that for all these people that, for like, again, that, when you're going to send these people away or recommend it, they're going to be in the right hands.
Well, absolutely. And a lot of my clients will tell you, the first thing I tell them is, if I wouldn't send my daughter, I'm not going to send you. And I have clients now so well trained that they'll call me with something that they heard about and they'll say, well, would you send Carly? Because they know that, and it's important to me. If I'm not going to send my family or I wouldn't go there, I don't really want to send a client. I do take everybody's travel very personally. It's a very big responsibility. And it doesn't mean everything is always perfect, but I do the best that I can to make everybody's trip at least the best that I can.
And listen, folks, I wholly agree. Please, please, please call Robin if you need a vacation or need to travel or even have an idea of going away. Please contact Robin because she knows her stuff. Robin, thank you so much for sharing your story. Can you please tell our listeners the best way to contact you?
So the best way to contact me is either give me a call, 516-319-1721, or you can reach me at Robin at travel by Robin. That's ROBIN, letter S.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much for that. That's all for today's episodes for the Wow Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it today. Special guest as much as we enjoyed her. Keep checking for our channel and keep checking for more inspiring stories to discuss how we can help your business grow. If you would like to become a member of Winning on Wednesday, simply visit winningonwednesday.com, scroll on the first time guest button and follow for the directions. And I hope to see you in our next meeting. Thank you again, Robin.
Have a great afternoon and thank you again, Juan.